Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So this is part 2 for the Jack and Sally Nightmare Before Christmas bag. I did have a video already done up for this. However, I wasn't able to upload it, so I'm gonna just have to explain what I did, and I'm hoping you'll be able to understand and follow along if you're choosing to make this bag or tote, whatever it is you're deciding to make, okay? And I will give instructions for what I did for this purse, but as well as the tote, okay? Just on the one chance that you guys are deciding to make the tote that was in the original pattern. So what I chose to do is, what you're going to want to do is you're going to chain one before you even get to the handle part, okay? You're going to chain one and you will turn your work. I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit here, okay? You're going to turn your work, and I'm going to show you guys how I did the modifications for the buttonholes. Chain one, turn your work, go into the next 6 stitches and place 1 single crochet, okay? And then what you'll do is you'll chain 3. Now if you don't want such a big gapping space, what you might want to do is you could chain 2. The buttons that I'm choosing to use are more odd shaped, and some aren't quite big, so I kind of needed that gapping space, so that way when I do sew these on, I can easily close and open this, okay? And what I did before I even did this too is I placed my buttons out on the fabric, figured out where I wanted to put my first button, and figured out how many stitches were before that, okay? And the reason being is it's going to help you out to make things nice and even for when you go to start doing the handle section, and you'll I'm hoping you guys will see why when we get to that step. But anyway, so after you chain your 3, you're going to skip a stitch, okay? So you're going to chain your 3, but you're not going to go into this stitch underneath, all right? You're actually going to go into the next one. And in the next 4 stitches, you're going to place 1 single crochet. And then you'll chain 3, you'll make sure to skip a stitch, and in the next 4 stitches you'll place 1 single crochet, and so on and so forth until you get your last button in, okay? Which I'm doing 5 buttons in total. So what I did is I kind of followed along when I placed my buttons and everything. I followed along where it kind of how it says to start when you're making the handle, okay? So I started over here with 6 single crochets, okay? So what I did was, after I chained my last 3, skipped a stitch, you should have 6 stitches left, and you're going to place 1 single crochet in each of those 6 stitches, okay? Then you're going to chain 1, turn your work, right? And that's when we're going to begin starting the handle row, okay? Now, what you'll do is, after you chain 1 and turn your work, you'll go into the next 6 stitches. And again, that's going to put you right next to where your first button starts, if you're choosing to do 5 buttons like I am, okay? So you'll place 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches, and then what you're going to do is you're going to chain 45. That's if you're doing what I'm doing, which is a purse. If you're choosing to do the tote bag, the pattern calls to chain 50. Okay? And then if you're doing the tote, you'll chain 50, you'll still do your 6 single crochets here, chain 50, skip 24 stitches, okay, and that should leave you with 6 single crochets or 6 stitches left. In the 6th one, you'll do a double crochet, and then you'll place in the remaining 5, you'll place 1 single crochet, okay? If you're choosing to follow along with me and do a wallet, what you'll do is you'll do those 6 single crochets over here, chain 45, and then what I did, again, you can choose to skip 24 stitches, but what I did is I just made sure there was 6 stitches. I went to the end of my row, counted back 6 stitches. You go into the 6th stitch, and you could you'll want to place one single crochet, and in the 5 stitches remaining, you'll choose to do 1 single crochet. Okay, and then everybody got that? Oh, I know I'm throwing like a lot of steps all at you at once. I really wanted to show you how I do this, but like I said, sadly, the video that I created, it did not upload. So if you have to, pause the video, rewind the video, do whatever you have to do that, and that's just going to help you. It's going to help make where your handles start, it's going to make it look nice and even, okay? Because if you have like 6 single crochets on this side and you only have like 5, it's going to look off. It's going to look off-centered, okay? Wherever your handle is, all right? So just keep that in mind. Whatever you start off with as far as stitches go, you want to make sure you do the same number of stitches on the ending side too, because that way it looks nice and even and centered. So to join these, as you can see, I have not finished, and I'm going to show you guys how I go about sewing my sides together. And you're going to actually, when I show you to sew the sides together, you're going to use the exact same way if you're making a tote bag, okay? Because you'll have two panels. So again, what you're going to do when you get to the end of your row, all right, and you've finished crocheting your last stitch, all right? All I did is I didn't take anything off my hook. I hooked into the corner of the second panel, all right, and then I just did a slip stitch to connect the two, all right, as you can see. And then what I did was from there I did pull my yarn. I cut a piece up kind of about probably a couple of inches, I'd say, probably like that much maybe. And then all I did was I pulled it through the loop that was on my crochet hook, tightened it so it was a nice knot, and I knew it wasn't going to come loose, okay? And then what I did is I just buried it in, actually no, I didn't bury it there, sorry. What I did is I just buried it in the side here, okay? And that's just going to help when we do sew the sides together. It's just going to help bury it so it doesn't come loose and you won't even see it, all right? So next comes the easy part. what you're going to do, and you're going to connect, how I told you guys to connect the two corners together. You're going to do it for both sides, okay? Because once you do that, it's all you have to worry about is sewing, you know, the side seam line here. So you want to decide what side you want the front of your panel and what side you want the inside panel. So basically what that means is, okay, this, you can kind of see I sewed it on the inside. It's kind of got like a hard edge to it. This is what I'm considering the inside of my panel to be, okay? This is obviously the correct side that I'm going to be using. So you're going to take and people who sew will understand what I'm saying. If you don't sew, you might not understand what I'm saying when I say this next thing. So you're going to take the side that you want to be on the outside, you're going to put those together, okay? So basically, like, the wrong side is going to be facing you, okay? And the reason being is that way when we sew this together and we flip it inside out, we're going to have a nice clean line on the outside, okay? So again, we're just going to match it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right into, I'm going to just zoom in just a little bit on this. And I'm going to try to remember so you guys can see to stay under the camera. I do apologize. I am trying to work on that. I know for most of my videos I do here and there tend to go out from underneath the camera. I'm just not used to using it yet. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just kind of going to leave a small tail, all right? And then all I'm doing is I'm just trying to put the needle into the top rows, okay? And see this little tail? I just want to kind of put it so that way when I pull this, it's going to tie that down nice and good, okay? So that way it's not going to come out. And then if you're worried that it might still come out, what you can do actually, is you can just take it. If you have enough tail to do this, you can take it like what I'm doing, kind of hold it down, flip your thread so that way you know when you close it up it's going to be right, and it's going to hold, it's going to hold that piece down, okay? Just kind of pull it. Just make sure everything's nice and tight, all right? And with this, if you're using two different types of yarn, that's fine. Instead of seeing 2 strings, you'll see 4. It's just going to make that side line a lot more secure. I decided to use 1. Whatever you prefer to do is fine. I'm going to zoom out of this just a smidge. Okay. And then all you're going to do, once you get that, is you're just going to, like I said, try to stay if you can. I know with crochet it can be kind of difficult. All you're going to do is you're going to try to, I just want to trap that one more time. You're kind of going to do like a zigzag almost. There we go. And then I don't have my scissors. I will cut this off last, otherwise I would do it now, but I seem to have lost my scissors, so I'm not worried about it right now. Plus we might be able to, so all you're going to do is, like I said, just kind of do like a zigzag on the top. And kind of pull it tight And don't be afraid to go like this with your yarn too, just to make sure it's, because you want it tight, but you want it stretched out too. All right. And then just kind of try to do the first couple of top threads if you can. All right. And that's really all there is to sewing this together. If I have enough, which I should, what I think I might do for this, because I did it for the other side, you can, if you feel like it might be more secure, you can do this twice. So when you get to the end, you would just go all in. I might do that because I did that for the other side. So and again, like I said, don't be worried to do this because everything is just nice and sturdy. And you want it to be nice and tough, but when you're doing this, you just want to kind of at the same time stretch it out, because you don't want this starting to curl because you have your tension like too tight. You just want to make sure it's doing what it needs to do. All right. And if you're gonna do this like a second time, you could do, more gaps in there. I like to do, when I do my stitches, I don't like to do too many gaps, especially if I know I'm going to be giving this to somebody. I want to make sure they can use it. I mean, even if, this is for my friend, so even if she doesn't use this as a purse and she just uses to keep like makeup in, or, hair product or hair color, I want to make sure that it's not going to come apart on her. So when I stitch my stuff together, I like to just make sure it's, nice and secure. And it looks like I will have enough to go all the way back. And it really doesn't take that long to do this. I'm just going to flip it so I can do the other. Oops, I think what I just did just came out undone. Whoops. And just to let you guys know, there I am, not even under the camera. Sorry about that. My videos will get better. I'm new at this. I've never been big on uploading YouTube channels or YouTube videos, but I just wanted something to do and something fun to do, so I figured where I have my Facebook page that, it's just for fun, but I figured it would add a little bit of character to the page. So I'm just so I'm not used to looking through my camera when I go about doing stuff, and I need to start trying to teach myself to do that. So I do apologize if you're watching my videos and you notice I do that a lot. Hopefully I start, that starts declining to how many times I'm not actually working underneath the camera. So you can actually see a little bit better as to what my process. And I'm just hoping that by posting these videos it helps somebody else, or like I said, you know, it's something fun to do. So like I said, this doesn't really take that long to do, especially if you're, depending on how fast you are at sewing. If you have any like loose ends or stragglers, now would be a time to just try to capture those and bury them. And if you're worried how I told you guys to connect the sides, if you're thinking that it's not super strong, not connected, you can always go back and, you know, when you're sewing your sides together, just make that connection a little bit better. Alright, so I've got everything sewed together. So what I like to do is just to finish it off, is I like to try, if you can, is go into a couple of the, and again with this I try to do a zigzag pattern. Again, I'm going to pull on it because I don't want it too tight. But I'll show you that again because I don't even think I was under the camera. So you're just kind of going to take a couple of your stitches and kind of do like a zigzag and just do, you're gonna go right down the middle, okay? And this just, I like to call it strengthening because it's, when you do this, I know I like doing this because I know it's not going to, there's a very low chance that it's gonna come apart, especially if you wash it. And like I said, I just want to make sure this is nice and sturdy and strong, so however it's used, it shouldn't at least fall apart for a while. That's the goal anyway. Alright. And then what I will do is on the bottom here. Oh, I don't think it's going to do it because it's, okay, so there's that. And then all I'm doing is I'm just going to make, kind of do what I started to do when I began this. And that's, I'm just going to make a big loop, place the needle through, thread it through, and just pull on it. And that's going to make a nice secure knot there. And I'll do it twice because as far as I'm concerned, this is the inside. Nobody's going to see it. You know, I'd rather know it's secure and it's not going to fall out. And then again, take this and only do this just once should be good enough because with everything that we zigzagged, it should not come apart. All right. So once we got that done, we're gonna cut that. And then I just like to see if I have any other stragglers here. Alright. So that way, when I'm going to zoom out just so you guys can see. When we flip it inside out, okay, we have the nice clean edges, okay? See? You can't even tell it's been sold. There's no holes, and don't be afraid to put your finger in the bottom there and just push the corners out because like I said, it's not gonna bust. It's gonna be nice and sturdy. And all right. And the only thing left, I'm not gonna show you guys how to do because Everybody has their own way of doing buttons, and everybody is going to have, you know, different size buttons and stuff. What I would do, it's going to sound probably really funny. The type of buttons that I got, which I'm going to actually see really quick. Just going to do one quick thing here. See if it'll... See if it's gonna let me do it. Okay. So I just wanted to show you guys really quick. If I can get the knot out of it. Hold on one moment. I'm gonna pause it really quick. All right. So as you can see, hopefully, all of the back of my buttons look like this. Okay, but there are, depending on, you know, if you're a sewer, you know what I'm talking about, but some buttons have slots that go not just through the back, but through the front, so you can do like an X pattern and sew it that way. All of my buttons are like that on the back, okay? And it sounds odd to do this, I know, but I would advise, if you have buttons like this, I would actually, and what I'm going to do, and I know it sounds different, I would actually sew them on the inside of the back panel, so that way when the person closes it, you can see it on the front, okay? If you have buttons like that. And that's honestly how, depending on what kind of button you have, you might want to do that, just so that way when they close it up, you can actually see the design of the button, okay? So I'm not going to show you guys how to do the buttons because this video has gotten long enough, and like I said, everybody has their own different kind of style. You can get, if you want these type though, because you really want to do this bag, these are at Walmart, and they were only, I can't remember the exact price, but they were less than like $4. They weren't very expensive, and they're really cool to do. So just to let you know. So that is the end of the tutorial. I hope this helps you finish off the project. I hope you guys were able to understand where I was going with this. If you don't want such a big gapping space, all you have to do is just, instead of chaining 3, you're going to decrease how much you chain, okay? But you could even, if you're not using super big buttons, instead of just like skipping here, you could also, you know, still chain your 2 or your 3 and go under here. Just remember, you want, when you end your row for the loops, you want the same number to be consistent, because otherwise it's going to look lopsided and off. But this is what it comes out with, and I'm actually really happy with this because I didn't realize this when I made it, but the only white spot in this purse actually ended up on the bottom, which I'm actually really, really happy with, because like I said, like the rest of it is pretty much consistent, you know, with how it is. But I think what I'm gonna do is, I think this might be, I don't know, one's going to be the front, one's going to be the back. I haven't figured it out. But this has gotten long enough. I'm going to let you guys go. Look for an upcoming video on how to crochet Oogie Boogie. I'm going to look into some things. I might try to create my own pattern for that, or I might just try to find a free pattern and replicate it for you guys and share the link on my Facebook page, so that way if you guys want to do that, you can. But I think at some point I'm going to try to definitely do that, crochet an Oogie Boogie. I did have a request for that today, so I think I'm gonna do that. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you really liked this, if it was helpful for you, please hit the like button. I'd greatly appreciate it, and you all have a good night and a wonderful day tomorrow. Bye.